Hey guys, happy Wednesday. We are back with another wedding planning powwow. I'm really excited because this week, Mallory Weiss, who's a very talented wedding planner, is going to be coming on with me, and we're going to be chatting about all sorts of fun stuff. And I'm really pumped, so it's going to be good. And hey Tori, so excited, yay! So Mallory just popped in, so I'm going to add her on. Let's see if I can do it. Yay!
Hey,
Hey Mallory, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this with me.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. I'm excited. This is my first Instagram live.
Oh,
So,
yay!
yeah, this is cool.
I had never done it before I started doing this series, but now I love it. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's a cool concept. I really like it.
Yeah. Well, awesome. I figure we'll dive right in, but
Yeah,
if I could have you just like introduce yourself and share a little bit more about like your business, how you started, what you love to do, and all that kind of stuff.
for sure. So, my business is Mallory Weiss Planning, and I specialize in wedding planning services and travel planning. So for wedding planning, we do month of coordination, partial planning, and full planning. And then we also do on the travel side, honeymoon planning, romantic planning, and family. So I had originally just been doing wedding planning. It's my fifth year this year.
Wow.
And I loved everything about that, but I felt like I wasn't able to stay with my clients after their wedding. So I took the love I had for travel and decided to add that on. So now I can kind of work with my clients through their wedding into travel and then help them beyond that. So it's been great. I've had travel as part of our services for 2 years, and it's been going great.
Nice. That's awesome. That's so
Yeah.
cool because I feel like I also like don't really know anybody who does that. So, and I'm with you about like I love my clients and I like to like still stay connected with them after
Yeah.
the wedding. So that's such a cool way of doing that. I love
Yeah,
that.
it was something different. No, I know nobody really had done it before. I love travel, so I decided to look more into it. And then I just kind of got pulled in, and I had planned my own honeymoon, so I knew the big task it was to do that. So I wanted to help people with planning their honeymoons too, and kind of just make the whole time seamless.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh, I love it. So how did you get started with weddings?
Yeah, so I've been doing event planning for years. I started in college and working with the American Cancer Society,
Mm-hmm.
and I did events for them on campus. And then I eventually joined their office and worked with them there for a few years. And I realized that I was very detail oriented. I really love to work on the details of the events. So I decided to start my own business, kind of just out of the blue. I had started going to get courses and certifications on wedding planning, and I would shadow other people, and I just really loved weddings altogether. And then I just started doing it from there, and now we're in our fifth year, so it's really great.
Amazing. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Now, did you get married before or after you started your
After, so
Okay.
I started in 2014. I got married in 2016. So it was good because I knew what was going to be happening, but I feel like since my wedding, I've learned so much more too. So I just feel like
Yeah,
every year I have more to offer my clients. It's great.
that's so cool. I love
Yeah.
that. Did you hire a wedding planner for your wedding or
I
did you do
did.
it?
I
Okay.
did. I had somebody the day of with me,
Mm-hmm.
because there's just so much going on, and doing weddings too, like it's a crazy day. So I needed to have somebody there to kind of worry about all those details that I always worry about at people's weddings. So it was nice to just have a relaxing morning with my girls and then go through the rest of the day.
That's awesome. I love it. Very cool. Well, I have some questions for you. So
Yeah,
I'm
let's
gonna
do it.
roll through them. Okay. So, what are your top pieces of advice for newly engaged couples regarding like wedding planning or just being engaged or anything like that?
Yeah. So the first thing I always tell clients is to have a game plan. So everybody gets so excited. You get the ring, you want to start going to all these different venues and you want to start planning and this, that, and the other. But the best way to start is just have a game plan. So I always tell clients to go in separate rooms and sit down and write the 3 things that you envision for your wedding. And that could be colors, maybe food's the most important thing to you. Maybe you want your wedding at the beach, whatever it is, just write down a few things that when you envision your wedding, what it looks like. And then come back together, compare notes, and then come up with a game plan of what are the top 5 things that you guys want for your wedding. I feel like doing that and being organized is going to help you when you do your venue search, because there's so many venues, and you know this, that they're gorgeous and you love it, and then you go and you find out what the pricing is, and then you're heartbroken because you can't do it, it's out of your budget. And I don't want anyone to feel that way. So if you go in with a game plan and you say, all right, well, we want our wedding at the beach, well, then don't go to a venue that's inland and as gorgeous as it is. You want to stay with your game plan.
Yeah.
So I always tell clients, do that first, then sit down with your families and decide, all right, how are we paying for this wedding?
Right.
And once you figure that out, then you're golden. Then you can kind of start going through and checking off venues that fit the criteria that you're looking for.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Venues is tough. I feel like, but like having some sort of like guidelines in mind to narrow it down is so, because there's a million.
Yeah, and the way I look at it is like buying a house. Before you buy a house or you rent or anything, you have an idea of how many bedrooms you want, neighborhood, things like that. You want to apply that same concept to weddings. You want to have an idea in your head of this is what we're looking for, and then start shopping.
Right. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
It's not easy because everybody wants to go online and look up places and do venues, but I'm telling you, if you have a game plan, it'll be so much easier for you in the end.
It's so true. Yeah, and it's exciting, so you want to like dive right in. But
for sure.
And also making sure like you and your fiance like want the same things, or that like you each have important things that you want, even if they're not the same. But like making sure all of that is covered is good.
Exactly.
Love it. Awesome. This one I saw, all your blog posts are so good. So if anybody wants to go have some good reading material, Mallory's blog has so much good stuff on it. But I saw on one of your blog posts where you're talking about ring insurance, and that's something that like I'm in the mindset of trying to figure out right now.
Okay.
But I would love to hear like, how do you go about that? Like, what things should you be looking for in a ring policy? And
So it's funny because you can actually get the ring insured before you even propose. So you don't even have to wait.
Oh, wow.
But a lot of people don't realize that. But so there's basically 2 ways of going about it. One is you can add your ring to your homeowners or renters insurance if you own a home or rent or anything like that. In that case, just call your insurance company and talk with them, and they'll be able to tell you how much it's going to cost to add it on, things like that. So that's one way of doing it. But if somebody doesn't own a home or they don't rent, you can get insurance through a insurance company that specializes in jewelry. So the best way to do that is to go to a jewelry store. You can go to the one that you bought the ring from or any local one and talk to them about it. You could also do research online. You just got to be careful about, the reviews and stuff on there. But that's really the best way. Those are like the 2 options people have. I always say when you do get insurance, definitely ask them questions about the ring. Are you covered if you leave the country? Are you, if the ring is lost or stolen, can you go anywhere, to purchase to get another one? Does it cover damages also? So you want to kind of make sure you know what you're getting for the policy, especially if you're going to be paying a good amount of money for it.
Yeah, totally. Oh my God.
So, and then one other thing for out of the country, I always tell people this. A lot of people, when you get your ring, you're so excited. You want to wear it all the time. I always tell my clients for their honeymoon, if you're doing a honeymoon that's going to be very adventurous, you're going to be going in the ocean, please leave your ring at home. Go get a silicone ring on Amazon. Leave the beautiful one at home because it'll be safe there. Because if you're going to be taking it off at any point, it's better to be safe than leave it at home.
Yeah. I know it's hard because it's like you don't want to part with it.
Yeah, like especially
if you lost it.
Yeah, especially if you just got married, you want to show it off. I totally get it, but you will be so much happier knowing that it's safe.
It's so true. That's good advice. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I feel like insurance in general is one of those things that like is very overwhelming to me
It
personally.
is. It is. And it's,
But
yeah, it really is. But it's definitely something that couples should get when they first get engaged. Even before that, like I said, when you purchase the ring, you can do it. Just, you'd rather be safe. You know, you get the appraisal of your ring and then you'll be all set.
awesome. So how does the appraisal work?
So the appraisal, that's just to tell basically how much your ring is worth. So that you can get when you purchase the ring, you can have them appraise it. A lot of times the insurance company will need that so that they can, because they take that into consideration of where you live, how much your ring is worth, so that they can figure out how much money, you know, it is for your policy.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. I feel like there's so much that goes into everything. Like I keep
is
saying, like
we could talk hours about everything. There's a lot of stuff.
There's so much, and like I was thinking, like being in the wedding industry, like I got this. Like I know everything. That's like no.
There's so many. It's like there's so much stuff pre-wedding and then the wedding and then post-wedding. Like that's why I try to keep up on blog posts to kind of educate brides, because for most people, this is the first time you're getting married. Right. So, you know, you don't really know what you're supposed to do. So I try to educate and put out as much information as I can for people.
That's awesome. Yeah, your blog posts are so helpful. I was like,
thank you.
Scrolling back forever, like reading them. I was like, this is so good. This is so helpful.
I'm glad they're coming in handy.
Definitely. So let's see. So my next question, do you have any advice for coming up with a vision or style for your day? Because I feel like beyond a venue, like how do you like put all of this stuff together? I feel like there's a lot of things I like, but it's like, how do you make how do you come up with your vision?
Yeah. So I kind of take the same concept of when you're going venue shopping is to have a game plan. So again, a great way to do this is to sit with your fiance and kind of separately make lists of things, again, that you envision for your wedding, but more the day of what you see at the wedding. So maybe, you know, you really love candles and you know, eating by candlelight, and maybe he likes bright colors, like whatever it is. And I feel like once you do that and you guys kind of have an idea of what you're both thinking, because remember, it's a wedding of your love coming together. It's not just one, you know, your wedding or his wedding or her wedding. You know, it's a wedding for both of you. So I think sitting down and kind of coming up what you both love. And then I always urge my clients to use Pinterest. I know some people don't like Pinterest, but as long as you go in realistically with it, I think it's a great tool. I always tell my clients to pin things that they really like, and then they share the board with me. I can help them kind of sift through, and we start tailoring it together, and we make it so that it's good, so that we can show other vendors and they'll understand the concept that we're looking for. Right. So, I mean, it's really just a conversation, you know, finding out what you like and what you don't like, and also what venue you're having it at will also help tell what kind of, you know, feeling you're going through and stuff like that. So
definitely. That's cool. Yeah, Pinterest, it's like Pinterest is one of those things that like I don't spend that much time on, but it is like a really good resource, and there's nothing else like it to like share sorts of things. Like I do a lot of like saved Instagram posts, like just for myself, but like you can't share it with anybody. You can't like get it anywhere else besides like just on your phone, like in that one.
Yeah. So I mean, I love using Pinterest. My clients will share it with me, and then I'll be able to kind of see what they're looking for. And that's kind of how I am able to see, you know, what their vision is. And it's great because if you really want bright colors at your wedding, you can literally type in bright colored wedding. Right. And all of these photos come up, and it might just spark something in you that says, oh, that's what I really, really want. So I feel like it helps in that way.
Definitely. Yeah. It's definitely like a massive search engine where
it's great. You just got to be careful, like realistically, because some of those pricing can be crazy, but you have to be realistic when you're on there.
It's very true. It's easy to get carried away. It's like, wow, I could have floor to ceiling flowers.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes I have to hone people back in, but yeah, for sure.
Oh man, awesome. Very cool. Okay. So what are some ways that couples can creatively make their day a representation of them? So like in their relationship and things like that. Because I feel like there's some like standard things that like you see, but how do you like really make it a reflection of you guys?
Yeah. So I always urge my clients to make their wedding theirs, to really make it, like you said, a representation of each other. To me, that's what this wedding is all about.
Yeah.
So there's so many different ways you can do it. One way that I did it at my wedding was my husband and I are both big sports fans. I'm a Mets fan. He's a Yankees fan. And so for our wedding, we had guest signed jerseys that were both Mets and Yankees as our autograph book almost.
That's so cool.
And it was just something, it was like something fun, and that it just represented who we were.
Yeah.
So I always tell clients to kind of find that one thing that, you know, really shows who they are. I've had clients do that with their table numbers. Instead of using table numbers, they'll use places they've been or places they want to be. You know, one of my couples, you know, or actually the wedding that we did together, the cake topper was, you know, he always said to, you know, he always said to her, to the moon and back, and that was the cake topper she got. So it's really, you know, it's just taking something small, even if it doesn't, not everybody knows about it. It's something sweet, even just for the couple to have. So I always tell couples just to look and see what, even if it's something small or an heirloom or something, there's always something you can add to your wedding that makes it yours and not just, you know, a copy of somebody else's.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And I like how you're saying too, like, it can just be like a little thing. Like, I get so wrapped up in like every single thing has to be like...
And you don't want to overwhelm people. Like,
yeah,
you know, you want to just make them, they could just be subtle things. It could be a color. It could be, you know, anything small. It doesn't have to be anything grand. But just those little things I feel like really make a difference. It just shows people who you are too.
Yeah. I love that. One thing that I've been like bouncing around, Ryan and I, when he first asked me to be his girlfriend, was at the like Quick Check Hot Air Balloon Festival. That's our like anniversary tradition to go to the balloon festival every year. So I'm like, wanted to incorporate hot air balloons somehow, but I feel like there's a way, like when I'm looking on Pinterest and stuff, it's very like circusy or kids' birthday party-y. Like I haven't seen it done in like like, I don't know the right word for it, but the way that I'm envisioning, I like haven't seen it done. So I'm like I need to figure out like how.
And that's something, I mean, you can even do something as subtle as if you have signage at your wedding, like having them draw some kind of like hot air balloons on there, but in a really classy way. Not, you know, that's maybe that's like black and white or something, just something very simple, but it's there. And even if you guys just see, you can carry it through, or even just something on your sweetheart table. I mean, you can definitely, but that's something really cute. That's something that's you guys, and even if it's just you two that notice it, it's still meaningful in a way.
I love it, because that's something too, like that it doesn't, every single guest does not need to like get it. It's because the day is like, that's about us and our relationship and all of that. So
I completely agree.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, do we need to explain it?
No, I totally, and that's a big thing too. Some people feel that way, like, oh, well, not everybody's gonna get it. Doesn't matter. Like, it's even if just you two get it, that's all that matters, and you can capture that. It's just because people will see it and be like, oh, I wonder what that means, and they'll know it's something for the two of you, not just like, oh, someone drew a hot air balloon. Like, they'll know it was like something that you guys do together, or that you guys have experienced together. So I feel like, and then people will be like, oh, that's really cute. Like, that's so Jen. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I love it. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. Every time, like, the more I talk about it, like,
I know. It's so fun. Oh my gosh. And this is why I tell people, it's like, planning your wedding is a full-time job. I mean, it's because you can do it all day, every day. And the closer you get to the wedding, you're like, you tune everything else out, and your wedding is your sole focus. It's hard.
Yeah. And I'm like, we have a long way to go because it's July 2020. So like we've got,
you got a good amount of time.
Which is like good and bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I feel like this like obsession over it is gonna linger on for quite a while. But it's
you have plenty of time. You have plenty of time to change your mind, add new things. I know. That's what gets you.
Yeah, that's Ugh, I'm so, it's so funny, like, even just like what I was thinking, like when we first got engaged, like it was over New Year's, and I was like, oh, cool, like I could probably like lock in all our vendors like before wedding season starts and like get the what?
Yeah,
What am
I
I
know.
thinking?
I know. It's so funny. The other day I was looking through, I have my own like wedding board on Pinterest, and I looked through it, and it went from like fall colors, and my wedding colors ended up being emerald and gold, and like it went from like fall to purple. Like you see just the culmination of everything leading up to what we actually did. Like
Right.
it's your mind changes so many times, and that's why it's one of those like you just got to stick with the decision and just
Yeah.
that's it,
Yeah.
because you can change it so much and you'll go crazy.
Yeah. And I feel like too, I mean, as with everybody has told me, but like, you know, you get a lot of opinions from a lot of people. So like trying to like tune things out and focus. But
Yeah.
I love one of your blog posts you write, like one of your things you wrote is that like your fiance is your biggest ally. And
Mm-hmm.
that was just like, wow, like I don't know why like I that didn't occur to me, but it's like, listen, the all these other opinions are not what this is about.
Yeah, and it's so hard. And I yeah, I write that. I wrote it I think two different times, because my first tip is always like, don't get frustrated. Like you're going to get engaged and it's an exciting time and everybody's excited for you, and you have to kind of take that in and understand that they're excited, but on the other hand, like not get frustrated when they try to throw ideas at you, and just kind of accept them and nod and
Yeah.
I'm going to write this down. And then after that, be like, we're not doing that. But you're right. You know, your fiance is your partner, your ally. Like they're the person you're going to go to. As long as they're okay with the decisions you're making, doesn't matter what everyone else is doing. And I always tell people, I mean, you always want to take into consideration the people who are helping pay for the wedding, though, too.
Mm-hmm.
So if it is your parents or, you know, the groomer, like whoever's parents are helping pay, you know, you want to give them a little bit of leeway too to give their opinion, because, you know, they are helping, but only so much. You have to remember it is still your wedding, and you have to, you know, as long as you and your fiance are happy with the decisions, then, you know, grandma will be fine. Like it's all right. Everybody will survive.
Oh man, I love it. So let's see. Okay, so diving in a little bit more to like what you do and stuff, can you explain the difference between like wedding planning versus wedding coordinating, and like how do you know what you need and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So my biggest thing is, if you find the right wedding planner, they're going to steer you in the direction of where you need to go. So I do both wedding planning and wedding coordination. So for my month of coordination, those are my clients that have pretty much done everything. They booked their vendors, they have their style, like they're good to go. They're basically just handing me over their, you know, holy grail and saying, we need you to just make sure that this day goes according to plan. So that's more logistics, and which is something I love doing. I love being behind the scenes and putting the pieces together of the wedding day and talking to all the vendors, becoming the point of contact. And that's pretty much what the coordinator is really doing. They're coordinating the entire day, making sure from start to finish, you're on time, everything's going the way it's supposed to, and everybody is where they're supposed to be. Whereas with a planner, they're doing that, but they're doing so much more with you ahead of time. So they're also pre-wedding working with you to decide that style and that vision, helping you find the vendors that you need to make that happen. You know, walking you through all these other little details and things that you're not sure of leading up to the wedding. So they're doing a lot more planning and really figuring out more of how to make your vision become a reality, whereas your coordinator is more taking what you've already done and really just going through and finalizing all those little things, and then logistically going through the day. So to me, like my planning clients are usually ones that both of them have jobs, they're very busy, maybe they live in the city, they might not like wedding planning that much. It's overwhelming for them. They might be the first ones in their family to get married, so they're not really sure what to do. So those are usually those couples. My coordinator couples are ones that loved planning their wedding. They did it all themselves. They just want to enjoy the day now. They want to be able to have that off their plate. So I think if you meet with the right wedding planner and you talk to them about what you're looking for, they should be able to say, you know what, Jen, you're a partial wedding planner. You've done a good amount of work, but we're going to help you figure out the rest of it. Or they'll say, you've done so much already, I'm just going to put some little pieces together and then we're good to go. So if you find the right person, and it's a trust thing too. I mean, you have to trust your wedding planner, and your wedding planner needs to trust you also, because this is a big production you're putting on. So you want to be able to have that relationship. But like I said, once you find that person, then you'll be good.
Yeah. I feel like trust for any vendor is the most important piece. Like, if you don't trust your vendors, and then like, what are you doing? It's not
then you don't have anything. I mean, and that's what I tell my clients. I'm like, you have to be able to trust me. Like, I know you put a lot of time and a lot of money into this wedding, and I totally get it, but you have to trust that I can do my job. I'm going to be able to get us through this. Yeah. So,
and that's what's awesome too, because like, you know, I know you like really care about your client, and just like working with people who like genuinely care about these couples and their day and all of that stuff, that's so important, because you know, this is like one of the biggest days of somebody's life, and being a part of that is really cool.
Yeah, no, we do a lot. I mean, me and I have an associate planner who's with me, and we've done everything from going back to the hotel to clean up the room to make sure it's perfect for when they get back. We've ran errands for couples. I mean, you name it, we'll do it. Like, it's just whatever needs to get done that day, we do it, and then that's the end of that. So, yeah, it's really great.
And as a wedding planner, I'm sure like you've seen like the whole gamut of probably everything and had to do probably everything.
Yeah, we've done, I mean, I remember one of the first weddings that my associate planner was with me. We had they were coming in on a boat to the ceremony, and I called her and I was like, hey, where are you? She's like, I'm on the boat. Like, I don't know how I got on the boat. I'm like, all right, just stay on the boat with them. Make sure no one comes off the boat. So yeah, it's just one of those, like, and I trust her. So I was just like, just do what you got to do. It's fine. Like, and it's just one of those, you know, things happen so quickly that you just got to go with it. And it all works out in the end.
Yeah. What would you say is like one of the more like logistically challenging weddings that you've had to coordinate?
We do a lot of outdoor weddings, a lot of tented ones, and I think those are the most challenging, just because you're always dealing with the weather, and there's just a lot of moving parts to a tented wedding. But last year we had a tented wedding out in Oceanport, and it ended up a huge storm came in, and we had to evacuate the tent into the house. Yeah, it was so much fun though, because the band moved into the house and they started playing music in the house, and it was just a house party. And then when finally the storm passed, the sun came back out, everybody came back outside, jamming into the tent. It was so much fun. Like, there was, I mean, it was, we had to take tablecloths off. I mean, it got really wet in there, but nobody cared. They were just dancing all night. So that was one of the newer, like, we had never had to evacuate a tent before, but again, like, we had vendors that we trusted, and they told me to evacuate those people. I got them right in the house, and everybody worked together. We were picking things up and cleaning up and stuff like that. So, you know, if you have a really good vendor team, then, you know, even the impossible isn't impossible. So it's all good.
True. Yeah.
It was crazy though.
Wow. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it was, I was in the house watching the rain. I'm like, I can't believe this is happening right now. Like, I was like, I don't even know, like, this never happened before, but it worked. It was good. They had a good time.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
With like weather, it's just like, you never know. But when I feel like, what was it, like November? I feel like this year. Do you remember like that snow that we had, like where New Jersey was just like not prepared? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Is my thing purple?
Yeah, you're a little
okay. Let me see. This is my troubleshooting.
Oh, okay. There you go.
That, I don't know what that was about. Okay.
All good.
So when we had that like crazy snow that like New Jersey was just not prepared for.
Yeah.
All that went through my mind is like, thank God I don't have a wedding to get to today or something like that, because I would have to probably just like abandon my car and walk. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just, I know. And we've had, and I try to like prepare all the vendors ahead of time with as much information as I can. So
Yeah.
we do a lot of weddings, you know, and I'm sure you do too, on holiday weekends, things like that. And I'll tell them, you know, we live on the Jersey Shore. Please leave extra time to get there. It's gonna be a lot of traffic, you know. So I really try and help everybody with as much info as I can pre-wedding, so this way they're not like, oh my god, I didn't realize there's gonna be so much traffic on 4th of July weekend. So you know,
and that's nice too, like as a bride, like having peace of mind, like, okay, somebody's handling making sure everybody like knows what they have to do and things to look out for, because I mean that's a lot.
Yeah, because and again, a bride and groom should not be worrying about that on their wedding day. So that's why, you know, it's good to have that other person that is handling all of that fun stuff.
Yeah. Both, 2 of my sisters got married. I have 4 sisters. 2 of them are married.
Oh, wow.
And, like for their weddings, it was like a lot of setup and like DIY, just like within the family. And it all worked out fine, but it was definitely like a more stressful start of the day, where we're like running to get centerpieces and setting up chairs, and then also like gotta get dressed in my bridesmaid's dress and all. And I just like, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, they're married. It was a beautiful day, but being part of that, I was like, that's not.
You're like, I don't want that. Yeah. No. And it's and that's usually what happens is somebody's in someone's wedding, similar to what you described, and you do go through that, and you're like, yeah, no. I'm good. I don't. And I've had clients that tell me, you know, we talk about setup, and they're like, oh, the girls are going to. I was like, no. I was like, your girls are not setting anything up. You're not setting anything up.
Yeah.
Stop. Like, you're going to get dressed. Your girls are going to get their hair and makeup done, and we will figure out the setting up part.
Yeah.
I was like, I never want to hear that your bridesmaids are setting anything up. It's not their job. It's not their job.
No. Yeah. No, it just gets too stressful. And like, like for me, it's important. Like, I want everybody, like, aside from just like me and Ryan, like I want everybody to enjoy the day and like have fun, not be stressed out, like just relaxed and like have
for sure.
So it's like, I don't want anybody doing that.
No, you don't. It's not, and it's not fair to them either. Yeah. It's like, that's not what they signed up for.
Yeah. It's like, hey, Dad, do you mind?
Yeah, and I've had dads setting up things, and I'm just like, what is happening? Like, no, don't do that. It's not fair to them. Don't let them do that. Yeah, it can be crazy. So it's having somebody else like take the reins. Yeah. I'm like, just give up control.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard for people. I totally can understand that, but just for one day, just let it happen.
Did you feel like it was hard for you, like having like been in the wedding industry, to like let some of that go on your wedding day, or just because you're on that planning side, you were able to like really let it go?
I feel like I was able to just, at that point, like, you're so close to your wedding day that if something happens, it's fine. I remember for my wedding, we had already gotten married, and Jared and I were sitting in our bridal suite, like eating our food, and my planner comes in and she's like, I just want to let you know that the sushi guy never showed up. So we went to Wegmans and got sushi. And I was like, well, I don't eat sushi, so it's fine. Like, and nobody knew the difference. Like, nobody, I asked everybody later on, I'm like, how was the sushi? They're like, oh my God, it was delicious. I'm like, great. Like, and I was like, you take it, like, unless someone's on the floor, like you know, and that's what their job is. Like, their job is to kind of handle those things and troubleshoot. And for me, I wasn't stressed because I know that she could handle it. I trusted her. I knew she contacted everybody. I knew everybody was going to be where they needed to be. So like I said, as long as you have that trust with someone, like, don't even worry about it.
Yeah. And I feel like too, like, I mean, tell me if you've experienced a wedding day there hasn't been like at least one thing that goes wrong or needs to like somehow shift or adjust, or, you know, I feel like it's just the nature of having like
I mean, and that happens. Yeah. I mean, there'll be times that we've had to move things, or we'll have to, you know, this person's not here, or you know, and it just have to, and I tell them, I'm like, just go with and by then a lot of my brides and grooms are like, it's cool. Like, you know, they're so over it. They're like, we're fine with that. But
Yeah.
you know, you just and I'll never approach. I'm very calm on wedding day. I never let them see that I'm frazzled, even if things are going crazy.
Yeah.
You know, I don't let them see that. So for them, they're like, oh, like that's fine. I'm like, all right, I'm just letting you know this is what we're gonna do now.
Yeah.
We're gonna skip this. We're gonna come back, and they're like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. That's
So
like,
it's all good.
as a photographer too, like there's
Yeah,
never
sure
a
you
time.
had to do that. I'm sure you have to, you know, family's not here. You got to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like you can't like let your bride feel anything,
No.
but like it's all under control. It's
Yeah.
fine. Even if it's like we've got 5 minutes for portraits. We'll
Yeah.
make it work. It's okay.
Exactly. And that's at the end of the day, I'm like, as long as you got married, it's
Yeah.
all that matters, you know. And that's how it is. Like you said, we'll make it work. We'll figure it out. You know, if we have to do family photos at 9 o'clock at night during cake cutting, it's cool. Like we're gonna do that.
Yeah.
It's all good.
It's nothing that like can't be solved. And I feel like being like having been at so many weddings, it's like one, I'm like mentally prepared that like things are gonna probably go a little off plan, but like at the end of the day, like that doesn't really matter so much.
Exactly. I mean, last year we had a wedding. They got married the end of June. A few days before the wedding, the trolley company called that their air conditioners were broken, and it was supposed to be like 80 to 90 degrees that day. And I was like, well, we can't have them sitting like I could just see the guys melting like already.
Yeah.
And my groom was like, oh, it's all right. Don't worry about it. I'm like, no. I was like, you know what? Let me just make a few calls. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
And that's one of the great things too, is that, you know, if you have a wedding planner that has a good network, and I've really built my network, you have those people you can troubleshoot to. So I made a few calls, and we were able to get another trolley. And once they were on it, they were like, thank you so much for getting us a trolley with air conditioning. I'm like, I know it's hot outside. Like I would never let you sit. And I'm thinking in my head, like they have to sit on the trolley for like 30 minutes. No, this is not going to work. So and like you said, I said to them, I was like, don't worry about it. I'll make a few calls. If we can get someone else, perfect. If we can't, we're going to figure it out some other way. But it's just kind of easing them because they start freaking out. So you want to be able to troubleshoot in a calm way as much as you can.
And I feel like that's, I mean, at least for me, like that's part of the fun of like weddings is like, okay, this was the plan, but that's not how it is. Got to think on my feet. Like, how are we gonna make this work? And then, you know, you are able to like be creative, think out of the box, and like pull something together.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I know. And I agree with you. It does keep you on your toes. Like, obviously you don't want things to go wrong, but when they do, like, it kind of helps you, like, it makes you think quicker, and you're like, all right, well, what, like, how can I figure out how to put this here? And, you know, and then it works, and your couples, you know, and I try not to tell my couples things if I don't have to. It's really only till I get to a point where, you know, if things are going to look different or the feel might change. That's when I say to them, this is what we're presented with. Here are your options. Because I will never make a decision without my couples being informed, because it's still their wedding day, and I want them to have the last say. So I always say, these are your options. Right. You know, how do you want us to play this? And then once they say, you know, whatever you think, I'm like, all right. And then you know, you go from there.
Yeah. Circling back just for a second with month of coordination.
I know, we're kind of like spiraling.
I know. I'm like, whatever. So like, it's funny because like, I feel like it's only more recently that I have heard more of like month of coordination instead of like day of coordination, because it's more than just the day, but like what goes into like that month, like what kind of things do you need to do? Yeah, so I started doing month of because I always felt like day of a lot of planners, and it can change, but some planners will do day of, and they're working with their clients maybe for a few weeks before the wedding. And I felt like a lot of my clients needed a little bit more help still. So I started doing month of. So now we're working for about 3 months before the wedding. So, you know, they might contact me 6 months before, but like 3 months is when we'll do a site visit. You know, because that's when they might be like, oh my God, I really loved the sign that I saw, you know, and I really want signage, and I haven't looked at somebody. So that gives us time to still add little details that they might not have realized they wanted, or they just never got to, or they never found the right person. So I felt like month of kind of gave me more time to get to know my couple,
and get to know their wedding, and also gave them more time in case they wanted to add a detail or something into their wedding without us feeling like, we're
Right.
rushing for time.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, let me see, what else do I have here? So how, I mean, I feel like maybe we touched on this a little, but like, how do you think, like, how do couples go about finding a planner that's right for them? Like, I know the trust thing is a big piece, but like,
Yeah.
beyond that, how do you?
So I think the best thing for couples to do is to either set up either a phone call or a Skype or an in-person meeting, and ask the planner questions. You can ask them the regular ones like, how long have you been in business, things like that. But ask them, have you done weddings outdoors, or questions like that. And get a feel for them. Ask them, who they are, and if you have a good rapport with them, and if you're sitting and your conversation is easygoing, then they might be really great for you. If you don't feel like they're selling to you, then that they might be a good fit. And also ask them, where do you see, us in your services? Would we be full planning? Are we just month of? A planner should never really upsell you. They should be selling services that they feel fit you.
Right.
So I'll always tell my clients, like, you kind of fit in between month of and partial. So it's really up to you, but these are the differences. I want you to understand, like, we're going to have more time together in this service, whereas this one, it's going to be a little bit less. And then they have the final say of which one works better for them.
Okay.
But I think once you talk to your planner and if you feel like, your planner should feel like your friend. Like, they should feel like, just like I'm sure you feel with your clients, like, you want to feel like, this is a personal moment and I wanted you to feel comfortable with me. So if you sit down with your planner and you feel comfortable with them, then, then they're the right person for you.
Yeah. That's huge. Yeah. I feel like above anything else, like having that like personal connection, like a genuine relationship, instead of just like, this is business and what.
Yeah.
It just like doesn't work for me. So I feel like that's so important. I mean, for me, and maybe it's excessive on my part, but I feel like all my vendors, I want to be like, no, I want that personal connection with every single one of them.
Yeah. And that's how, I mean, with my couples, I mean, I try to say, it's like, it's still a business. So you still want to, keep those, parameters, but I want my clients to feel comfortable. Like, if they want to text me about whatever, or, if I see something that I think of them, like, I'll just send them a message or, something like that. I friend them on Facebook. I follow them on Instagram. I want them to feel like they're not just my, they signed on as my client and I'll see you in 6 months. I want them to feel like we're working together, and, so that's why I get as many details about them as I can, so that, I can send them little gifts, or I can, make the day of, I can ask them how their family is. And, you become an extension of their family the day of the wedding.
Yeah.
So you really want to get to know who they are.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. Yeah. And it's like, you want somebody who like wants to share in the excitement with you.
Yes.
Like, show up to do a job and then see you later. It's
exactly.
Like, no.
Yeah. And I'm sure you have, I know I've worked with vendors who were like that, who were just like, I need to get my paycheck and call it a day. And that's fine. Like, if that's how you work. But for me, I'm more of a people person, and I like to get to know my couples. I mean, I've seen so many of my couples, who are now having babies, and like, it's just so, I love seeing their family growing, and it's just, I feel like I'm a part of that still.
Yeah.
So, and now it's fun, because a lot of my clients, their family members are getting married, and now I'm, going to be with them in that sense. And I'm sure that's happened with you too. And you feel like, like, oh, thanks so much. Like, you want me to be a part of it again.
Yeah. That's so cool. That's so fun. Yeah. It's always nice to like be like staying connected and like brought in with like, their family or like their friends, like a bridesmaid, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It always makes me feel happy when they're, they're like, oh, come hang out with us. Or, oh, Mallory, like they make me feel like, they're like, oh, come on the dance floor. Like, it makes me feel like I did my job. Like, they felt comfortable enough with me that I'm just part of the gang now.
Yeah. I love it. That's perfect. So, can you share a little bit of tips on when you're choosing for your honeymoon and like researching different places? Like, where do you recommend like starting with that?
Yeah. So I hate to repeat myself again, but one of the best ways to do this is just sit down and make a list. I'm all about lists.
Yeah, I love it.
But to be honest, like, I feel like when you're talking to other friends, like they're starting to influence you, and they're like, oh my God, my trip to St. Lucia was amazing. And then you're like, oh, maybe I want to go to St. Lucia. And then like I feel like people will influence you. So I always say, have a date night with your fiance, sit down and like come up with like, when you close your eyes and you envision your honeymoon, like what are you doing? Are you hiking a mountain? Are you laying on the beach? Are you exploring a new city? Write those things down. And that's kind of how I help my clients with their honeymoon. Because a lot of times they'll come to me and say, oh, I don't really know what I want to do. I don't know where I want to be. And I tell them, like, I'm like, all right, well, let's talk. Like, how long do you want to travel for? Do you want to travel for 2 weeks, or are you traveling for a week? Do you want to be on an island? Do you want to explore? What are the things that really get you going? For me, as much as I love Europe, I didn't want to be exploring on my honeymoon. I wanted to, after all that work, I just wanted to relax, like see a few sites, but pretty much just relax a little bit. And I knew if I went to Europe, I was going to be so overwhelmed with wanting to see everything that like I couldn't handle it. Right. Some couples love that. So it's really just who you are. I have all my couples fill out they kind of go through what they like, what their last trip was, all those types of things. And that helps me kind of sift through, where they want to go. And as I send them an itinerary, we'll notice that they'll start like, it'll start going like funneling down. And that's when we'll figure out exactly where they want to be. So it takes time, but I have some couples who are like, I want to go to Mexico. That's it. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. But some are definitely like, I want to go everywhere. So we have to really narrow down what that means.
Yeah. I feel like that's the hard part, because it's like, I feel like similar with wedding planning. Like there's so many things I like, so many things I would want to go see, like so many places. It's like, ooh, how do we narrow this? But yeah, I feel like I'm on a similar wavelength of like, after the wedding, I feel like I just want to like hang out, like not be pressured to
exactly. And for most people, and everybody's so different, sometimes this is the first trip they're taking together, so they might want to do a lot. So it really is just kind of sit down, and also your budget. If you want to go, you have to be realistic with your budget too. Like if you want to travel Europe for 2 weeks or go to Tahiti, you need to be willing to spend a little bit more money than if you just went to an all-inclusive for a week. So it's definitely, that is another factor too, is when they tell me how much their budget is for spending, I kind of help them with other options that might be better suited for them.
Right. That makes sense too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my last question, still going on this loop, but can you share like just a little bit more about like your honeymoon planning and travel planning stuff and the benefits of doing that and all that? I'm like really into this idea, so
yeah, so
I want to hear all about it.
For sure. So one of the biggest benefits is just you have somebody with you the whole time. So similar to wedding planning, I help you book everything. I send you an itinerary personalized to what you're looking for. And once you say yes, I help you with all your payments, reservations, transportation, all of that. So you don't have to worry about anything. I send you all of your documents. And then when you're away, I'm on call with you. So maybe you get to the hotel and there's something wrong. You can call me right away and I will figure it out for you. Expedia or booking.com may not do that for you. And not that there's anything wrong with booking with them, but it's just, there's a hierarchy in the travel world of where clients fall. And when you book with somebody who does travel, you are put higher up than somebody who just booked randomly online. So if you want that personalized service, like you definitely should work with a travel agent. A lot of people feel that they spend more money that way. And I'm very honest. I will tell clients if I feel they can get a better deal somewhere else, I'll tell them like, do it this way. But I would say 99% of the time, I'm giving them a better deal at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that. It's so fun. I feel like that would be a lot of fun. I mean, I feel like it's hard just because of like the logistics of like planning things from afar, like for me personally is like, oh man, like how do we know
Yeah,
that
and
that's all gonna work? And
yeah, and it is. I mean, it took me a while, and I have a great team of agents that I work with in my agency, and they've been traveling for a long time too, and we work with really great suppliers. So, no, even if I'm not, if I don't know that area really well, somebody on my team does. So
yeah,
and they may have been there firsthand. So there's always somebody that I can go to. Whereas when you're booking online, there's nobody to speak to. There's,
no,
you're
yeah,
just clicking and going and hoping that it's great. But because I've had resorts that clients have come to me with, and I tell my agency, and they're like, no, 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 we don't send anybody there. And I tell them, like,
yeah,
this isn't really a good one, but let's go with this one instead.
yeah.
So
That's super helpful.
yeah, so it's definitely nice because we do have a really great team, so we're able to work with each other and like help each other out with that.
Yeah. And that's like, I mean, Ryan and I have gone to Mexico twice. Like a couple of years ago, we went 2 different times. And like both times we just like booked like all inclusive resorts online. And like the first one was amazing. And we loved it. It was like this huge, like so many places to go within the resort, like
Yeah.
awesome. And then the second one we got there and I was like, oh man, this is maybe not exactly what I thought it was going to be.
And you don't know. I mean, you look at the pictures and you're like, oh, this looks decent, like, price as well. I know. And that, believe me, and that's what happened with me. I mean, I'll look up places. I'm like, oh, I'm going to recommend this one. And my agents are like, no, don't. Yeah. It looks nice, but don't do that. And I'll be like, oh, perfect. Like, it's good to know. And I write it on my list, like, do not send here.
Yeah.
So it's helpful, when you work with an agent that's part of a larger agency, because they really do have so much knowledge that can help you along the way.
Yeah, that's amazing, because I feel like, unless you know somebody who has personally gone to a place,
yeah,
you're really at the mercy of like, how does it look in online photos?
Yeah.
and the reviews.
Exactly. And the biggest thing is that, a friend of yours who may have went to Greece, maybe they're really into sightseeing. So they might have done a lot of sightseeing where you might be like, I want to go beaching and sailing. And so your trips are going to be totally different, even though they're at the same place. So that's hard too, because they're going to give you recommendations, but you might be like, no, that's really not what I'm looking for. Like so it's hard. You have to be careful. It's the same thing with wedding planning. Like when people give you recommendations for vendors, and you're like, that's really great, but that's not really what I like.
Yeah.
So it's hard. You have to really sift through.
Yeah. And I feel like when you get to like work with somebody like for their wedding and their honeymoon, I feel like you probably know them pretty well. So like that is like,
and that's the best part, because like we're working together for the wedding, and then like I feel like the honeymoon part is the fun part. So like they're really excited for like when I send them the itinerary for that. So yeah, like it's nice because I'm able to help them plan this entire journey that they're on, and it's just stress-free for them. Like they're just happy that they don't have to worry about it, and like Mallory's taking care of it. So it's really great. Like you said, it's nice to be able to work with them past their wedding. And then, in hopes that they come back later on and, I plan a baby moon or like a family reunion or other stuff too. So it's cool.
How far out would you say you typically start planning the honeymoons?
I tell clients pretty much, once you know where you want to go, it doesn't hurt to start looking, especially if it's a popular time of year. So like if you're traveling during like the Christmas time or even in the summer, that's a huge time for families to travel. So airfare is usually a lot more expensive. So if you're traveling during a busier season, definitely, start looking as soon as you can, because if there are category rooms that you want, they could be sold out pretty quickly. So I always tell clients, like, it doesn't hurt once you kind of have an idea. We can start looking, and then you can put it on hold for a little bit, but there's always the chance that when we come back to it, it's not going to be available anymore.
I feel like that's with like everything.
Like
weddings.
Even weddings. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. I mean, it's, you never know. So that's why, as soon as you have an idea, just book it. Like, I know people are like, oh, but you want to get a better deal. It's not always, you have to, weigh the cost of that. I mean, if you want to take the chance of it not being available anymore, it's, it's up to you.
That's true. It's true. Yeah, I know. It's like, ugh. And I feel like when you have a lot of ideas in mind of like what you really want, like that's why I'm happy that even though the long period of time is like a little bit dangerous as far as wedding planning
Yeah.
goes. But like having that far in advance for like, you know, the people I know I want to work with, all the stuff, it's like, okay, well, we're pretty far out. So like availability is pretty open at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be really upset.
Yeah.
To like work with the people I wanted. So
yes, no, I agree with you. Yeah. I mean, it's good when you have a good amount of time. I mean, I have clients that, you know, book in a shorter period of time, and I tell them, you know, this is what's available. You know, it might not be available a week from tomorrow, like a week from today, but right now it is. It's totally up to you what you decide to do. But I try to urge them to make a decision sooner rather than later, because, you know, you never know what the next day is going to bring.
Well, awesome. Is there like anything else that you feel like is good to share, or anything at all that you have? I feel like
I'm trying to think. I feel like we covered so much tonight.
Yeah, we like kind of zigzagged all over, but
we
I
went
feel like
all
we covered
over. No, I mean, I feel like the biggest thing for couples is just, you know, at the end of the day, like, you're getting married, and that's all that matters. So try to make it as stress-free as possible. Whether that means hiring a planner or not hiring a planner, it's all what falls in your budget, but definitely, you know, think more about, you know, how you want the day to run. And then, you know, it never hurts to just inquire about it. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. But, you know, I always want to have a good, you know, a stress-free day. That's all I ever want.
Yes. Yeah. No, 100%. I'm like, I feel like I've seen the whole 9 yards of like weddings that go really smoothly and things.
Yeah.
Like, I want to eliminate, like, I don't want to travel between locations. I want to be like in one spot. I want to like keep it simple. So that I focus on just like having a good time. And
oh yeah, for you, I mean, you've seen so many weddings at this point, so you kind of probably, I'm sure, have an idea of what you're looking at. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's so true.
I hear you.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Mallory. This was really fun. And
like, thanks for having me.
Are a wealth of knowledge, and I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me.
Oh my God, this was so much fun. We need to find another topic to talk about now.
Yes, we do. 100%.
I'll come up with something else, and we'll just talk about that.
Definitely. I'm in. We've got a long way to go before the.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. We'll definitely. Yeah.
We'll do this again.
You let me know. We will definitely. We'll chat about something else as you get closer. I'm sure we can find something.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, and thank you everybody who tuned in. This was
awesome. Thanks,
Yay.
guys.
Cool. All right. Well, have a good rest of your night, Mallory, and I will
too.
talk to you soon.
All right. Bye, honey.
Bye.